So as I promised, I woke up early, went to church, arranged the chairs, and prayed over the altar for like 2 hours. Arranged the chairs a bit wrongly, but we are still learning. So I hope you guys, I know a lot of you follow me. I hope you went and did something for your church. Let me tell you, the personal altar is not like the church altar. It is very different. I'm telling you today, when I went early, I helped around and I actually prayed over the place before the service. The power of God was so strong. I was just feeling fire around me the whole service. That altar is strong. That altar is strong. So let us not neglect the church altar. And let me give you direction from scripture. Go and read the word of Ezekiel. I want you to read Ezekiel chapter 8 and 9 and just see how the Lord is passionate about his temple. He's very passionate about his temple. Whenever he finds things like that are drawn away from him, things that are not consistent with him, it provokes his jealousy. He's jealous about his temple. He cares about his temple. He deeply cares about his temple. And that's why he even used kings like Darius and Cyrus, people who did not know him, just to rebuild his temple. So why should God go and ask people who don't know him, like King Cyrus, to rebuild his temple when you are there? And you are very proudly saying, I'm a Christian, I serve God. Maybe I repented. Today I repented before God and I said, God, I've been a hypocrite. I've been claiming to be your servant. And yet I arrive to church late. And yet I barely do anything for my church. I come in late when it's very convenient for me. When the worship has just started. I repent of my pride, oh God. Let me tell you, today I saw the sacrifices of the people who put together the altar. Big sacrifices. Somebody plays the keyboard and is still there carrying chairs. It is wrong. And I'm just urging every one of my followers, if all of us just go and do something for our church, there'll be a big difference in that altar. That altar is more powerful than your personal altar. So stop staying in the house with your pride, saying you listen to Apostle so and so. Go and this is your word today. Go and help your pastor. I'm telling you, the pastor has the hardest job in the church. Have you ever tried to lead someone to Christ and then after that you try and help them step by step, teaching them to pray, teaching them to be sexually pure, teaching them how to avoid bad company and teaching them how to study the Bible? And they have millions of questions about marriage, about career, and you have to stay with them day by day. And they call you at night, they tell you, oh, man of God, I had a bad dream. Man of God, I am sick, pray for me. It is hard work. And the pastor has to do this for, sometimes in some churches, the pastors have to do that for thousands of people. In some churches, they have to do it for hundreds of people. When these people have issues at their homes, the pastors have to visit the homes. It is hard work. The pastor carries the hardest job in the church. Help that pastor. And let me ask you, is it not hypocritical that we don't support our pastors, and yet when people get born again, we tell them, oh, come to our church? Who is supposed to do all the heavy lifting of following this up this person, praying over their soul? It is the pastor. You see, the apostle is very powerful. You can go to a conference. People are falling down. People are manifesting. People are getting impartations, yes. But the apostle is not there with you every day. He's not there with you when you are moody. He's not there with you when you are tired and you don't want to do anything for the church. He's not there with you when the pastor says, Inueni mikono, lift your hands up, but nobody wants to lift. When the pastor even requests just, I need some young men to help us carry a tent, people are not there. But the apostle will never ask you to do those. Do you know the apostle will never ask you to do anything that requires, he or she will rarely require you to apply sacrifice in your life. Yes, they may tell you pray and fast, but they will rarely tell you go lift a chair. They will rarely tell you go lift a table. They will rarely tell you help us put together the altar of the Lord. Now let me reiterate my message. The personal altar is not like the church altar. The church altar is powerful. It can summon the presence of God. The church altar can actually produce very powerful throne worship that can attract the presence of the cherubim itself. It's not like your personal altar. The cherubim might never visit. The glory of the Lord above the cherubim, it might rarely visit you in your personal altar, but it will visit the church altar. I'm telling you. Go read Ezekiel 8 and 9. His glory, there's a glory that is just for the church altar, for the temple. And God cares deeply about his temple. Deeply. Go read the Bible. He cared deeply about the Ark of the Covenant. He cared deeply about the tabernacle. He cared deeply about the temple that was built for him, even by King Solomon. Do you know God cares so deeply about his temple that he even told David, "You will not build my temple." You see, David had bloody hands. He had been a violent man, even though he was fighting for God's cause. God gave the honor to King Solomon, and people all over the world were sending. Some people say, "Oh, the church wants your money." Do you know? If you read the Bible, you will see that when Solomon was constructing the temple, people from all over the world were contributing to that temple. Pagans were contributing to the building of the temple. Why should the Lord look for pagans when we are there for his temple? Think about it. Why should the Lord be using pagan kings, pagan nations to rebuild his temple? Ask yourself. This temple was honored even by the pagans, and the Lord cares about it deeply. When he wanted to rebuild it, Darius, Cyrus, they were giving even resources to the likes of Nehemiah for the rebuilding of the temple. Zerubbabel, they were rebuilding the temple. In fact, many books of the Bible, if you read all the way from Daniel, when the captives came back, they talk a lot about the rebuilding of the temple. And even in Malachi, he says, "Now the Lord that you have been seeking will suddenly appear in his temple." Let me tell you, in the days of Jesus, the synagogue was full of money changers. The synagogue was full of people who were scamming the people. And yet Jesus went there and overturned those tables. And do you know he never stopped going to church. He never said, those people are just selling doves and sacrifice items. I don't like the house of God anymore. No. He went there and he said, "My house shall be called a house of prayer." Now let me finish with a personal testimony. God shared with me some time. I don't know how long ago it is. But there was a time I was sitting in the house and I was saying, maybe I'm watching apostles. I'm watching powerful sermons. I pray a lot. So at that time, I just moved to a new town. So I was not going to church and I was very comfortable. I was like, I don't know where to go to church. I don't know anyone. So let me just sit in the house and I pray. Do you know, the Lord rebuked me. The Lord told me, isolation is your worst enemy. And the other thing he told me is, isolation is your worst enemy. That was point number one. The other thing he told me is that there are some things in this kingdom you will never get if you are isolated, praying alone in your house. Yes, you might pray and feel the presence of God, and you might get answers to your prayers, but there's a level you will never access as far as Christianity is concerned if you are isolated and not, one, going to church, or two, contributing to your church. There are some things that will be locked. The lie that you should stay in your house is from hell. Because you see, the gates of hell shall not overcome a united church. But let me tell you, if it is a divided church, be careful. People praying on their own, it is not the will of God. He says, "Do not despise the congregation. Do not despise the coming together. Do not despise the gathering of brethren." Do not despise it, because it is easy to despise it. Because it is so easy to despise it. You can sit in your house and say, maybe I'm so anointed. I even see in the spirit. Maybe I'm so anointed. I pray for the sick and they are healed. Maybe I'm so anointed. I have a personal relationship with God. I can speak to God and I can hear him. Yes, you can. But as long as you're not meeting with others, as long as you despise the congregation, there's some things you will never get. You will never live in some realms. Now let me finish with this. It is very possible that you are more knowledgeable than the people in your church, and it is very possible that you even know mysteries than even the pastor. But let me tell you, the grace of God is available for all those people. One word God once gave me. Maybe I've always been deeply reading the Bible ever since I was a child. So most places when I would go for Bible study, it's not many people will know verses than me. But this is one thing God once told me. Show grace. Even if you go to a Bible study and people are still in development, show grace. Because that is his will, that you meet with them and you find your tribe. This is what he said, find your tribe. There's some things you will never get. There's some blessings you will never walk in unless you have your tribe and you're praying with them. So acha kiburi, stop your pride, go to church, help out your pastor.